проснешься на рассвете, мы с тобою вместе встретим день рождения зари. Как прекрасен этот мир, посмотри, как прекрасен этот мир, как прекрасен этот мир, посмотри, как прекрасен этот мир. Ты не можешь не заметить, соловьи живут на свете, и простые сизари. Как прекрасен этот мир, посмотри, как прекрасен этот мир. Ты взглянула, и минуты остановлены.
Where should we start from, Lenny?
First comes first. Let's start from the birth.
So, the birth. Lenny was born in the city of Borisov, situated on the banks of Berezina River, 60 kilometers from Minsk, Belarus. Borisov is most famous for the history of Napoleonic Wars. The Battle of Borisov took place on November 21st, 1812, between parts of the French and Russian armies. Russians defeated the French that day. Of course, Lenny made his first breath in Borisov 138 years after these events, and also 5 years after another war, World War II, which really ravaged this area and his family. He was born in May, when Borisov is usually awash in lilac. Lilacs bloom everywhere at this time and fill the air with their fragrance. So lilac is his favorite flower. He was born and learned how to walk in the house of his maternal grandparents, Chava and Fala. Their families lived for generations in this land. Chava and Fala had 4 kids, 3 boys and a girl, Lenny's mother, Raisa. One of her brothers, Mima, was killed at the front during World War II. Her brother Moisei fought at the front too, but survived. The youngest, Isaac, came of age after the war. When Lenny was born in 1950, Isaac was 21, and throughout his life had a great influence on Lenny. They were friends. Lenny never knew his fraternal grandparents or anybody from his father's side of the family. When the war started, his father, Misha, 19 years of old at that time, was a student in Minsk. His parents, 2 brothers and a sister, lived in a settlement of Chirea, 200 kilometers from Minsk. With all the bombing, chaos, and rapid advancement of German army into the Belarusian territory, there was no way for Misha to get to see them. He got evacuated to the east of Russia, to Kalmykian steppes. Then he signed up for the army and got a short training in the military school. His combat service started at the Battle of Stalingrad. He was wounded several times during the war and finished it in 1945 in the rank of lieutenant. When the Red Army liberated Belarus, Misha wrote a letter to the Chirea post office inquiring about the fate of his family. Dear parents, he wrote, I am writing this letter hoping you have escaped from Chirea and survived by some miracle. If you happen to be there and receive this letter, please answer me at least 3 words. We are alive. I have not heard from you since the war started in 1941. If you are not recipients of this letter, maybe someone will read it and give me, your son, an answer about your fate. To the address, Kuibyshev, Regional 26, Military Unit 243, to Mirkin, M.L., June 29, 1944. He received an answer from the postmaster, whom he actually remembered from the pre-war times. It said, the Germans killed your relatives on March 6, 1942, in the demise of the Jewish population. With greetings, Postmaster General Shuplякov, July 24, 1944. Since ever Lenny had remembered himself, he knew that every year on March 6, his father wouldn't take any food or water for the whole day. Lenny's father and mother got married while his father was in a graduate engineering program in Leningrad, now St. Petersburg. After graduation in 1951, he was assigned to work in the city of Angarsk in eastern Siberia. This is how Lenny, being a toddler, got to Siberia, where he lived for the next 13 years. In fact, depending on the mood, he sometimes calls himself Isaac Жеребцов, referring to his Jewish origin, and sometimes full-blooded Siberian man, ядрёный сибирский мужик. Every summer, however, he and his brother Mitya were coming to Borisov, to their grandparents. This railroad trip from Angarsk to Borisov took 7 days at that time. Their mother was taking them at the start of the summer to Borisov and then was going back. But by the end of the summer, both parents were making this round trip together to pick up their kids.
Вот здесь я и научился плавать. Случайно со всеми спрыгнул в воду и потом понял, что я не умею плавать. И пришлось поплыть.
In Borisov, on Berezina River, Lenny learned how to swim all by himself. Just once jumped in the water with other boys, waded and swam out. At that time, Berezina was quite wide and navigable. The timber was carried on the river in wide log rafts. The boys would catch up the raft by swimming, climb on it, and jump back into the water. Lenny has the most fond memories and stories about his summers in Borisov, his friends, neighbors, beach on Berezina River, Borisov peasant market with all kinds of natural produce, but most of all, about Borisov's way of life. The outhouse in the corner of the garden, grandma's chickens and real egg hunting, though he never was able to catch up with grandma, who was an expert in finding eggs in the most unexpected places. A big old bowl for making preserves passed from hand to all neighbors in turn. The shepherd, who in the mornings collected cows from the neighbors to pasture and brought them home in the evenings, and the cows knew which house to go to. The fisherman, banging on the shutters already at dawn, "Mistress, do you need a pike?" And grandma would come out and inspect their catch. Every pike had a piece of paper in the gills with penciled weight and price.